Welcome to another episode of Wealth Beyond Numbers. I'm your host, Dennis Coral, and we continue here with Alejandra Moreno from ASM Law Group. And Alejandra, I want to talk to you a little bit off topic, but on the topic of estate planning. And in our industry, there's always things that happen that drives us crazy, or that we give advice to clients and they go against the advice that we give them and that we recommend. That drives us crazy. For example, in my practice, the deadline to make contributions for a retirement account is April 15 of the following year. So for 2025, you have until April 15 of 2026. And we usually get a phone call, an email, or a message from clients asking us on the 15 or 14 of the day, Dennis, can you help me with making a contribution for last year? Because I forgot. And we do them. We help our clients make sure that we get things done. We execute on whatever their wishes are. But it drives us crazy. It drives Jonathan crazy, and everybody in our team, because we have to now suddenly scramble to make sure that we do things. And sometimes clients forget that they don't have the funds in their bank accounts. We have to ask them to move it. So sometimes clients, we tell them that their budget is $5,000, for example. So that means that they're going to receive from their investment portfolio $5,000 every single month, and they're going to use that $5,000 to live their lifestyle along with their Social Security and their pension. So that pretty much covers it. But then 2 months later, they say, Dennis, I think you need to send me another $2,000 more. And that throws off the makeup and how we organize and structure the investment portfolio, because we personalize everything in our practice. We don't outsource anything, something that sets us apart from our competitors, that we personalize things to the client's specific needs, to their objectives. And that's something that drives us crazy, because that means that we're going to force now the portfolio to create more income, which in the future, it could deplete the investment account sooner than later. So do you have instances in your practice?
Well, thank you for having me again. This has been a lot of fun. Yes, there are things that clients do sometimes that one big one.
Oh, wow.
I think that is a big one. We see that a lot, especially now that there's so many blended and mixed families. You're not legally married. That means it doesn't matter if you've been living together for 100 years. You're not legally married. That one is a little bit frustrating. I think another one is, you've seen our questionnaire. I've sent it to you. It's not a very complicated thing. And there are clients that don't want to fill it out. Why do you need to know this information? Well, I need to know your estate if we're doing your estate plan. Otherwise, I can't really give you options. And there's like a little bit of back and forth. I'm not asking for sensitive information, but I need this in order to see what we can offer you. Charge you to review your will is more than if I did your will correctly, because I know it's not correct. I know that it's gonna be invalid. I know it's done wrong. So let's just, if that's what you want, a will, let's talk about the options. You might have another option that is even less expensive than that $50 will. So, but I already did it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not worth the paper you did it on.
Wow. Or the time.
Yeah. I think those are probably my, it kind of make me twitch, because, I'm telling you this because I know this. I think it's kind of, we mentioned in another episode, it's kind of like when a doctor sees a patient and they're like, I have cancer, I know it, I need this medication. The doctor's like, no, you don't need that.
That's right.
I'm the doctor.
That's right. Yeah, I understand in your practice also that when you do draft a legal document, it has to be notarized, and the legality of notarizing it is just as important.
And it's not even just that, especially if we might smell that there might be a problem in the future. There's case law that determines whether a will, a trust, an estate planning document was done properly, if it was done under influence, if it was done under undue influence. So it even goes back to who made the appointment, who paid for the consultation, who was in the room when it was signed. What questions were asked before the signing of the document, who was present at the signing. So yes, a lot of, and we have, kids that just care about their parent. So they're trying to help their elderly parent get, things organized before it's too late. But we really are strict about doing it correctly to make sure that when we do this document, we want to make sure that it functions the way we're telling you it's going to function. We don't want this to later be litigated. So we try to follow a protocol to make sure that it's done correctly. And people get a little frustrated sometimes when we ask them to leave the room. And the person that's signing the document, they're like, no, but I want her here. I'm like, I know, but have her step out for a few minutes. So in my file, I can document that this was done properly. So yeah, sometimes we have a little bit of pushback, but I'm not doing it for no reason. I'm doing it because I want to make sure that I'm giving you what you need.
Yeah. I remember a long time ago, before I met you, I did a will under LegalZoom, but I never notarized it. So that's how I know how the importance of it,
Yeah,
the
of
execution of the document. I was married there at the time. I didn't have my son. I was not even in my industry. So I was in my early 20s, but I do remember that. And then when you came in and as I learned more about the estate planning, I realized the importance of the execution of the document. Yes. And why is it important? Why keeping the original? Although nowadays, in a world that we're living, things that have become more digitized. When for example, when we need a estate planning document, we don't need the original. Right. A copy from the PDF and would suffice. And that's how we started us helping clients become more digital. Mm-hmm. So all our clients have all their documents in a digital vault that's set for themselves individually. So at any point they can retrieve it, whether it's from their phone, whether they want to share it for opening a new bank account or anything that they need. And that makes a world's difference. But sometimes, since we're in the topic of clients not following the advice and driving you crazy, something that I also find often is that clients go against the advice that you give them.
Yes.
So does that happen to you?
Yes, it does. And I'm kind of, I can only push so hard. You're an adult. I will usually document it, that I told you don't do that. Why did you hire me if you're going to do whatever you want anyway, kind of thing. I do try to document it because I want to make sure that, it wasn't just a phone call or a quick email. Like I sent you a certified mail, you received it, you signed it, that said, this is not what I told you. Okay. I don't want to get in trouble either. I'm here to protect you, but I need to protect myself too. That happens often, and I'm sure you see that even more than me because you're very much with your homework and your deadlines, and I'm sure more often than I have homework that I haven't given you.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
But I know we're all very busy, but you have to prioritize this so we can get it done correctly, and you need to follow the right steps to make sure that what I'm telling you is going to happen is going to happen. But if not, if you know more, if Google knows more than me, bueno, have Google represent you, in the litigation later when you get sued, or you won't be around to see it. But we've been doing this for a while. So the reason why we have our process in place is because we know what happens when things go wrong.
Yeah, it's super important, I think, as a professional, that you have a process that you can repeat and that you can explain to clients in a simple way.
Yes.
In my practice, we have a 5-step process as we work with clients, which which is understanding their goals. Then we do some number crunching to understand and create a plan. We put their plan in writing. So we take the time to make sure that whatever we're going to do, it's in writing. It's like a document that basically tells us this is where you are, this is where we can take you, and this is how we'll get there. But it gives clients a visual of where they'll be if they follow our advice. Then it comes the execution part and the monitoring, which are just as important. But along the lines, in those 5-step process, sometimes clients want to fall through the cracks themselves, and it's where we align them.
Yes.
They're like, no, bring them back.
Yes.
And especially when we're dealing with money, when we're dealing with wealth, significant dollars, there's sometimes apprehension. Why do I need to do this? Why should I do this? But I've done this in the past in this way. And I often tell clients, yes, you've done this in the past, and it didn't really work that well. And this is why you're here, and this is why we're having this conversation. Yeah. And sometimes I even tell clients, and I try to be as transparent and as open with them, is say, we're doing this because we're not really planning it for you. We're planning it because when you are not here, your kids, your spouse, your partner is going to have to take on and take over from this point. And you may know your mess. You may know your quirks of your mess.
Right.
But somebody else that has to step on your shoes may not. And they may not just have the experience and the knowledge, they may not be emotionally in a position to handle it for a while until they mourn you.
At that time, they should be focusing on healing, not on the mess that you left behind.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So those are things that do happen often, especially when we're dealing with money, you're dealing with emotions.
Yes.
They go coexist together.
Absolutely.
So you have to be a little bit of a therapist. I'm assuming that in your practice, you also have to be a little bit of a psychologist.
For sure. Absolutely. And if somebody's coming to you in a certain state of mind, you might have to get them out of that state of mind so that you can accomplish your goals. For our probate cases, there are a lot of surviving spouses, or children that, we've had parents that lost their 20-something-year-olds. We have a lot of those. We have a lot. And thankfully, I haven't dealt with that specifically, but I've handled that with other clients. And you just lost a child. Like, you don't want an attorney hounding you for documents. I got to get them into a space where they're ready to take the step that they need to take without pushing them too hard. And then once I have what I need, I let them heal. You're not going to hear from me. I got it from here. And I do that on purpose because I don't want them dealing with a probate and reminding them every day of what they just went through. I just need what I need, and then I'll leave you alone. I'll take it from here. You have to be a therapist, psychologist, a buddy, a friend. And you have to let sometimes people act out because they're not in a great place. And I tell my staff, anytime I've had somebody new working for us, I tell them, we're dealing with people, a lot of times they're in the saddest moment of their life. And they might snap and they might say something that you don't like. I just need you to take a deep breath and be like, I understand, we'll call you later. Or I'm sorry, we'll talk at another time. Just be patient because we're not going through it. They are in the middle of it. We just have to be a support there for them and help them get to that place without pushing too hard. It's very delicate. Yes. It's very delicate.
I'm surprised that's not something that would drive you crazy, because it would drive people crazy in other areas.
I've told you in the past episodes that one of the things that I'm very proud of, I feel like I try to be a healer with words. And you can't heal somebody when you're frustrated with them.
That's right.
When they're driving you crazy. So I take a deep breath too. And I say, this person is going through something. And you don't know if they're in an empty house now that they shared with somebody for 50 years. And they're going to bed by themselves every day. Or, their kid was about to start college and now they don't have a kid anymore. It was their, whatever it is. I have to kind of remind myself, like, it's not you.
That's right.
They're just taking it out on you. You're an easy target. Just take it.
That's right.
And that's okay. That's okay. I'm helping them get through that too. Yeah. Not just, the assets and the money. And I'm trying to help them get through that too.
Yeah. That's having emotional maturity and intelligence to be in that state. And that comes only from doing this for so long.
It's the experience, of course.
It's the experience that's kind of why you come through a professional like us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I agree with you 100%, because that happens in my industry so often. And sometimes people feel at a loss and they don't have the financial support, or they don't have the financial advisor or wealth advisor to hold their hand. And that means a world's difference, especially
Absolutely.
when you go through transitions in life. You want to make sure that you're working with somebody that has been in that road before, that has guided you and helped you. With that, can you share an example of someone that you've helped recently, how you took them from point A to point B, and why having you in that time in life helped them?
Oh, recently. So
What that comes to mind that you know?
Right now, and we just mentioned this in another episode, a really good friend of mine passed away. My kids called him uncle. And I knew that he was in a tough place in his life, and I was his power of attorney. I would check in with him often, but he was a grown man. He had to make his own decisions. So I never imposed myself. I just kind of was there supporting him. He got very, very unwell, and he ended up passing away. And now I'm kind of like dealing with the aftermath of cleanup and everything else. And his heirs have been telling me several times, we're only at the beginning of the process. He just passed away recently. His heirs have been telling me, thank you. Like, thank you for handling this. We wouldn't know where to start. Thank you for knowing what to do and what to say. And, you know, we were together in the final moments, and I was doing the legality. And, you know, at some point, I wrote them each, you know, letters expressing to them how much I admire the way they acted throughout this time. You know, I also, now it's all hitting me, and I miss him, and I cared about him, you know, and they call me and they're like, we realized you were doing all the legal stuff, that you didn't take a moment to, you know, mourn. So thank you. And I think that's been such a, I don't want to say nice because it's a terrible situation, but we've had a really nice bond dealing with these different stages of, you know, him being unwell, him passing away, and now dealing with his estate. And I'm trying to carry a lot of the load so that they don't have to. But I think it's been a very touching experience to be so involved with not just a former client, somebody who's been a part of my life, my whole life. It's, wow. Yeah.
Which is something that you didn't have to do also, because most attorneys don't want to take that responsibility.
No, of course not.
Because it's a big responsibility.
It's tough.
It's not an honor when they name you to be that person responsible for somebody else's.
It's a big responsibility.
It's a big responsibility.
And, you know, we as an attorney can tell our client, you have to go this, you have to do the bank, you go to the bank, you have to, you know, sell this, sell that. But when you're actually doing it, when you're actually going through people's things, you know, and reflecting on those memories, it hits different.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah. So I'm sorry for your loss, but that also speaks a lot about who you are as a person and as a human being, and that means a lot to me. And that's part of the reason why we work together so well, because it's there. You have to care. You have to care about the person, the human being, and having their life experiences, having done what you do for a while, having the passion for what you do, puts you in a position where you can really help someone and look at them in the eye and say, I've gone through this, and this is how I help other clients, and we can take you to the same place. We just got to follow our advice.
Yeah. That's hard too.
Which is hard to sometimes to do, but once you get to that point, you'll see the light. And at the end of the day, it's providing peace of mind.
For sure.
So thank you so much. This was
you.
so much fun.
It really was.
So this concludes our episode of estate planning. I hope you enjoyed it, and there was a wealth of information that Alejandra shared with us. Hope that we can see each other and do this again
we absolutely
in the future.
Will, for sure.
And do more advanced estate planning, because I know we just went through overviews. But I hope you enjoyed the episode of Wealth Beyond Numbers on estate planning. I'm your host, Dennis Coral. And as we like to say at Coral Management, retirement and financial planning starts here. Thank you.